All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker, and this is a first for me in a very long time as I have added a new co-host. As you will see on the episode, I have added Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Hayden Juenger onto the show. And Hayden has been in the Toronto Blue Jays system for quite some time now. He's up in Buffalo right now, and he is only 25 years old, and he is still working his way towards the majors. But I thought he would be a great addition onto the show, just having some insight into being in the locker room and actually just being teammates with guys, just sharing a field with them. And I thought he'd bring such a good perspective into these interviews, and that's exactly what he did in our first interview here, where we actually had Will Robertson on, who is a second-time appearance on this show. And Will made his MLB debut this year with the Blue Jays and ended up getting picked up by the White Sox and finished out the year with them, and now is the newest member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Hayden was a fantastic add in the first episode. He will be on more episodes with me going forward. And we do kind of just dive into him and Will's relationship a little bit, those two being teammates for so long, dating back to 2021. We dive into all that, and obviously how Will's season went this year and making his debut and, and leaving the Blue Jays org for the first time and going to the White Sox. So that is all coming up, and you will meet Hayden on there as well. But before I shoot any further and get to the interview, whether you're watching me right now on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is you get your podcast, please like and subscribe. Like I said, we have now added a professional pitcher into our co-host realm, and I have another one coming shortly with another active player. So definitely like and subscribe anywhere you can. I'm making a big push on YouTube right now, still a younger channel. Definitely trying to get those numbers up. So if you could please help me out, that'd be great. But I'm going to quit yapping, and without further ado, let me shoot you on to the interview with Will Robertson. All right, we are joined by Will Robertson, one of the newest members of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Will, the last time I had you on this show, it was the day before your contract was selected to make your big league debut. And it was kind of cool as well because you got to go straight up to St. Louis. I know you didn't play, but still being around the family and everything had to be cool. So can you just, that's where I want to start us off.
Yeah.
Can you kind of just take us through that week? Obviously, I talked to you the day before. You had no idea that was coming. But can you just kind of walk me through a little bit about what that week like was for you?
Yeah, no, obviously got the week, had a discussion the day of, and nothing really in my brain that, told me that I was going to get called up. Obviously, there's a couple other guys on the 40-man. Hayden, knows the situation just as well as I do. You got guys on the 40-man in front of you. It's a little harder to kind of see your pathway, especially when you're pitching or hitting well. And so it wasn't even in my mind, to be honest. And it took a little bit of, I would say, luck. I mean, it took Nathan Lukes to get a concussion for me to get up there, but was super grateful. And a pretty quick turnaround, you said, in St. Louis. Got the news, and then I looked at the schedule and I was like, oh my gosh, they're in St. Louis, close to family and everything. And then reality sunk in that it was a 1:00 game. I didn't find out. I wasn't flying out until 5 a.m. I was like, holy cow, like this is going to be crazy. So, did the whole call of family, and which was probably one of the cooler phone calls I've ever gotten to make to mom and dad and to my grandparents. That was a really cool experience. And then, jumped on a plane, and I was expecting, a few people to be there, just how close to home it was. I wasn't supposed to play, so they all kind of knew that I probably wasn't going to be in the lineup, but I was expecting, quite a few people there. But I walked out of the dugout in St. Louis, and there was probably 250 people in the stands. So that was, it was crazy. And that just, coming from a small community, you guys know just how much support that they give you. And I saw people that I, haven't seen in years, and it was pretty special. And after the game, got to, walk outside the dugout and got to thank everybody. So that was really cool as well. But just an all around, just kind of a crazy, first day. And then, went to Philly. And then on Father's Day, got my first start and was able to get my first hit. And that was, Father's Day, I'll never forget, just being my first Father's Day. And then my dad and my grandpa and my brother being there. And then my father-in-law was there too. So just super special first week for sure.
Did you have any of that? They always say like the dad strength's a real thing. You always see guys go on the paternity list, and I feel like it's kind of like a lore a little bit. But is it real?
Yeah.
Can you
Yes,
this?
it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I
Yes.
mean, I think it's a real thing for some people. So I had my daughter in August of last year, and I remember I was I think I was sitting on like 18 homers, like when Morgan went to we went to the hospital, and then obviously took a week off, and I ended with 19. I think it was 6 weeks. I had one home run, and I was just, me and Morgan, my wife, we were just like, that dad strength didn't kick in, did it? I was like, I guess it did it. I guess I didn't get that strength, but no, I feel like I think it's just probably from a more of a perspective, like, hey, like you got more, to life than baseball. I think that's probably where it comes in a little bit, but I always joke around with the guys. I don't need the dad strength. I need the dad speed, because the base running and the slowness in the outfield is kind of probably where I need to pick it up a little bit. So
I need to admit something to you as well.
Yeah.
You were talking about, maybe the speed in the outfield and things like that.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of baseball this year, even in the minors as well. And I truly think, and I'm not just saying this because you're on this show with us right now, I truly think you may have made the best catch I saw the entire year when you robbed Torkelson in Detroit. Did that surprise you as well? Or are you still kind of shocked when you go back and maybe watch a replay that you even caught that ball? Because it looked like you were very close to not catching it.
Yeah, looking at the replays and all the videos and stuff, definitely super surprised that I played basketball in high school, never got close to that. I told a reporter that I tried to dunk one time in my high school basketball career and got stuffed by the rim. So like I'm not known for being that athletic. So definitely surprised. I think it all kind of worked out perfectly. Torkelson hit that ball. It seemed like a mile up in the air, and it just kind of the wind kept pushing it out and gave me, which I needed every ounce of time, that ball hung up there to get to the wall and jump. But just happy I caught it, and it was a pretty cool experience. And I joked around with my grandpa, actually. I was like, it's always been a dream to be on SportsCenter, hopefully I make it. And then I got off the phone with him and I was like, wait a minute, it's the opening weekend of the NFL season. There's no way I'm getting on SportsCenter. And I didn't get on SportsCenter. So I was like, of course, like this all happens, and I still didn't get it. So, but it was a cool video and something that I'll remember forever. So.
Yeah, I think your 2025 season has been an absolute crazy ride. I know it's still you're into your off season now, and it's coming to a close. But I'm going to crowdsource here for a second, and I'm going to ask my co-host here, Hayden. Yeah. And Hayden, you were obviously teammates with Will for a little over 60 games this year, and then you got to share a locker room with him last year. And you kind of saw him put the time in Buffalo last year, and then ultimately get called up this year. What did you see from Will this year that you saw maybe look a little different, or like why do you think he got ultimately got up to the big leagues like he did?
Well, I think first of all, just going back, me and Will have actually been teammates since 2021. When I got drafted, we played high together, and that was when I first met him. So then just be able to play with him every level of the way. And I think he'll tell you stuff. I thought last year was a chance for him to get called up. One being just the Jays they weren't great, and he's having a pretty good year. And then honestly, testament to him. But I remember talking to him early this season about how he didn't even know if he was going to break camp with us or go to Buffalo. They told him he didn't really know. He didn't know until the last day, right? And I just remember pulling up to the complex, leaving, his car is not shipped yet, and everything, Johnny stuff's in it, Morgan stuff in it. He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But I think early on it was very prevalent. he stuck with it. He got hot. Just the consistency with when he was hot, and I was like, it's any given time he's got to get his chance. And I actually remember being here because I was hurt. I remember texting him after it happened because somehow, some way, news gets out and goes fast. But a guy that I knew tweeted about it, and I was like, wait, what? So I texted him, and he's like, yes. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, I was super happy. And I realized I knew like he said, they were in St. Louis. It's like, I was super pumped for that. And I wish I'd have been in Buffalo, but no, I just think it's a testament to just his consistency to sticking with it. And it's hard, I know it's hard to do it every day, but when you're not playing every day, it's even tougher. So a testament to him and his hard work to making sure it paid off.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give Will a chance over here too as well. Obviously, you guys have played together I underestimated it. You guys have played together a lot longer than just 2 years. So, Will, for yourself, playing with Hayden, and obviously with Hayden getting up to Buffalo as quick as he did. Me and Josh were just talking about this the other day that we were kind of like, oh yeah, Hayden's like 28 years old right now. Like he's around our age.
No. He's a young pup. He's a young pup. Yeah.
So for him being as young as he was and getting to the spot where he was and just, in being around him for the last couple of years, what have you seen out of Hayden that you've liked so much?
Yeah. Obviously going back to 2021 when he got drafted and came up to high A, and you knew that his arm was electric and he had, some of the best stuff that I've seen to that point because just being in high A, and obviously he was expressed, to AAA really, really quickly. And I think he knows better than anybody how you can be on and you can be doing all the right stuff. And it takes a lot of timing. It takes a lot of, things to go right that you can't control to get that call or to get that opportunity. And I think a lot of guys in AAA that have been there for a while kind of know that. And it definitely, I think Hayden can say this better than me, that sometimes you probably don't think that it's going to work out. And I think that's probably one of the harder parts, but his testament has shown that, you keep going and that it's going to click and yeah, it will. So
I have to follow up as well on that. Since I have never truly seen Hayden in the clubhouse and the way he is, how is he in the clubhouse?
Hayden, he's what you see is what you're going to get no matter what. He's going to be, on the field, on the mound, in the club. He's the exact same, which I think that's what we love. And he's also I think he clicks with everybody. I think that's something that I feel like sometimes, being a, small town kid from, Missouri that, I have trouble with, clicking with these young guys or clicking with these guys that, come from different backgrounds. But Hayden, he literally gels with everybody, which is very impressive because there's some guys, Hayden, being a country boy sometimes just can't, we can't get to. But yeah, no, Hayden's awesome. He's always, gelling with everybody and really cutting loose. So he's always, and another thing is, I know a lot of teams do this stuff, but after wins and stuff like that, doing different stuff, Hayden's always the one that, is leading the post-game victory celebrations and stuff like that, which is hard to do, but also at the same time shows you what kind of a teammate he is. So yeah.
Appreciate that. And it's harder than it looks.
It is.
I don't want to do it, but no one else would do it. And I was like, I'll step out of my comfort zone and do it.
Well, I know you guys out there in that bullpen, if you're not pitching, you can get a little – you guys don't pay attention to the game a lot of times. So It takes a lot of effort to know, okay, what happened in this game, who's going to be the player of the game, who's going to be the pitcher of the game. So I give you a lot of credit there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can only imagine what some of those bullpen talks are with you out there in Buffalo. So that's for another podcast. We'll get somebody from that bullpen out there, and they'll expose you a little bit. But Will, I do want to talk about one of the unfortunate parts, obviously, about the business of baseball. And, obviously, you spent your entire career with the Blue Jays up until this year when you were designated for assignment and you ended up going on to Chicago. So For people maybe that are listening that they're not like maybe fully aware of that whole process, everything, like, I guess from a player's perspective, what was that experience like for yourself, just having to, say goodbye to an organization that you were drafted by and you came up through the system and go to a brand new organization with brand new teammates, coaches, training, everything? Like, how was that for yourself?
Yeah, obviously it's a little shocking just to, get the news. I mean, I always remember where I was, saying goodbye to everybody in Rochester, and then not knowing what the situation was going to be. Would you go through waivers, and would I be back in 7 days, or would I be gone, and not see a lot of the guys and a lot of the faces that I've known for 7 years. I had a lot of connections with Casey Candell, our manager. He was my very first manager in pro ball. A lot of guys in that locker room that I got drafted with, been with Juenger probably the longest out of any teammate that I've played, even through college. That's why I joked around with so many guys like Phil Clark. I was like, you've been with me for 7 years. Like a lot of college teammates, I was only teammates with for 3 years. It's crazy and Juenger the same way. So it was definitely a shell shock, but I think knowing that you've put yourself in a position to, get picked up, or, have another team that, would inevitably want you in the White Sox, I think was also a silver lining part of it too. And, luckily that happened and got an opportunity to, play. And obviously, wish I would have played better or had, took advantage of more of the opportunity, but that's all you can ask for, I think, at this level, is just an opportunity. So I was grateful for that.
And so that, getting the chance to spend over the last month of your season, playing almost every day in Chicago, to finish out your 2025 season.
Yeah.
What do you think that has done for you, going forward? Obviously, you are now with Pittsburgh now, but you're on a 40-man roster. It's a lot different than you were in position-wise as in last season, where you're on a 40-man, you're there on a major league roster. So, what do you think that did for the confidence level and just yourself in general to end the season up there in Chicago and get to play, Major League Baseball games?
Yeah, I think for me, everybody asked like, what's the difference? I honestly don't think it's a huge difference. I think obviously you're going to get your guys that are really talented and have some really good stuff, and it's gonna be challenging. But I think for the most part, it's it's the speed of the game and being able to slow it down and tell yourself it's the same game. It doesn't matter if you're hitting in Salem Field, or you're down in Dunedin in spring training and you're facing the Yankees here and you're out on the mound. Like it's the same game. And I think sometimes for me, and I was telling my family this, it almost felt like anytime, even going back to high school, you play your first, JV game, or you're a freshman playing JV, it speeds up and it takes a couple games, and then you kind of realize, okay, you belong here. And it's just the same sport. And I think that's kind of been the case, first college game, super fast, and you play a couple games and you realize, okay, I can do this. And it's almost that feeling of like, I don't want to screw up. Like that's like the first like initial, I think, mindset. And then once you can, get over that and be like, okay, let's be productive. Let's try to, make a name for yourself. I think then it kind of slows down, which was, I think, great for me in the later part of the year, getting that chance to play a lot more often and kind of get that out of the way. And I feel like I definitely did. And I obviously wish, had better results, but I think just getting that feeling, okay, I belong here, and knowing that that it's the same sport. You just have to, just keep going, and it'll eventually click itself out. But I think it was nice to kind of get that reassurance and get that past me. So yeah.
You played against some pretty good teams there in the month of September. I see the Padres on there. I see the Yankees on there, the Tigers. You were playing against some playoff teams that were pretty solid down the stretch. Did you have like a hey rookie, welcome to the bigs moment, like at all? Like, I guess did you experience anything like that? What would you say was your welcome to the bigs moment?
I mean, I like the hardest pitcher. People always ask me. I was like, that was probably my very first big league at bat with Zach Wheeler. Was probably the hardest guy I ever faced. But no, in September, getting to face, we faced Detroit at home, and they were that was kind of right at the beginning of the collapse. We took 2 out of 3 from them. And that crowd that weekend was phenomenal, and you could taste kind of like, okay, like this shit means something. And they were fighting, we were, trying to be spoilers, and that was really, really cool. And then we turn around and play the Padres then the next series at home, and just seeing that lineup, you get the lineup card or your positioning card, and you look down the lineup, you're like, damn, like these are star-studded lineups. Facing Yu Darvish, I think that was a pretty cool moment. You grow up, watching him, playing with him on the show, and you're like, dang, okay, you're going against him. He's got 12 pitches. Here you go. But I think the coolest was playing in Yankee Stadium. I got my family to come out, and that was really, really cool. Playing in Yankee Stadium when they were trying to top the Blue Jays for AL East division. That crowd was insane. I think Judge had a couple bombs against us, which I think that was like, watching Judge hit a homer over my head. I was like, damn, okay, like this is crazy. Definitely definitely a lot of moments that I will definitely remember and be like, damn, that was pretty cool in the moment. So
that's got to be a unique angle, obviously seeing Judge hit all these bombs on national television, and you're sitting there in the outfield like, yeah, that's what that looks like when you're underneath of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously you guys are, Hayden's in Buffalo's organization, or Toronto's organization. Sorry, you're in Buffalo, but with both of you guys, obviously spending a lot of time, and Hayden, you still being there, like watching this World Series has to be pretty incredible, because me and Hayden were talking a little bit off air, where it's like, he's listing off all these guys that you guys have played with over the years, and how awesome it is to see them up there, like doing their thing. So Will, for yourself, like how is that, getting to see a lot of the former teammates you played with for years, got drafted with, played everywhere? Well, what's that like, seeing them at the big stage?
Yeah, it's awesome. They deserve every bit of it. And you get a chance to know them personally. Room with Davis, room with Joey Loperfido, played with Mason Fluharty a lot, and obviously Addison Barger, played with him and got to know all these guys. You take bus trips, you hang out in the locker room, you play cards with them, like you get to know who they are. And so it's kind of cool to see them take that next step of, not just getting to the big leagues, but then having success and getting to stay there. I think is really, really cool. And obviously being, playing in the World Series and being on the verge of winning a World Series is really cool. And seeing them do, huge things, Barger with the grand slam in Game 1, like it's really cool to see that, not only because you know them and play with them, but them, who they are and how great of guys they are. I think that's even better. I don't know about you, Yang.
Yeah, I think, I got down here yesterday, and I was sitting at the complex, and it's funny because when I first came in 21, it was like I was the young guy and knew absolutely no one. And now it's a complete 180, because it's like I'm the old head, and like I'm only 25, but it's like I know everybody, or I know the staff, and there's some first year guys that are like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Just kind of like fish out of water. But they're asking like, oh, like who'd you play? Like how many guys have you played with? And it's like, in reality, I've played with dang near the whole roster, whether it's been, the last couple of big league spring trainings where, and that's something I'll give a testament to the guys that get glorified all the time, Vladdy, Springer, those guys. But like what you see on the field, like those guys are what they are in the locker room. Like they are great locker room guys. And Vlad, the first end that Vladdy and Bo, Bo comes up to me, don't know him from Adam, and he introduces himself. And Vladdy, I see him every day, he asks me how I'm doing. And so I think it's a testament to those guys. But yeah, I mean, I love, Davis talks to me. I mean, I probably more Will too, but I remember when Davis was going to retire, like he's like, I'm done. And then lo and behold, here we go. He's in the big leagues, Addy doing they get in a heroic grand slam, like stuff like that like it makes me happy for them. It's like almost like I want more. I know they want it, but it's almost like I want it more than them, just so they can have it. Almost, like it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, and that's and Will, we were talking about this earlier. Obviously, is it like kind of, do you think about it at all that like, possibly if your guys in Toronto do take this home, like you will get a ring at some point?
Yeah, I've been asked that so many, like just being home. And, like a lot of my friends are like, "So you get a ring? Get your ring?" I'm like, I do. And but yeah, it definitely sunk in that like, yeah, this could be like I could have a World Series ring for playing like 7 games or having 10 at bats. Like, but yeah, it's definitely surreal to think about. But um, I think but that's like from this team that's in the World Series right now. It had so many guys that stepped up in times that without Nathan Lucas and Eric Lauer, I don't know where they would be at without those guys. So it's kind of like a testament to like what this team was all about. Obviously, you had the big stars, and Bo played great, and Vladdy's had an awesome year and awesome postseason. But yeah, it's kind of like a culmination of like everything. Kind of, I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you saw it from day. I don't want to say day one of spring training, but I mean, everybody jokes like, "Oh, the Blue Jays won the Grapefruit League or whatever." Like, but it was a legit thing. Like in that locker room, just being in the round in that clubhouse, it was like you felt right away like there was going to be, Eric Lauer, Braden Fisher, Mason Fluharty, guys like that were going to make an impact just because you've seen it in the games. It was the fourth game of spring training, and Braden Fisher goes out and faces, it was Austin Wells, Aaron Judge, and Stanton. And what's he do? He fans 2 out of 3 of them. And it's like, okay, well, he just punched out the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
And it was on 3 pitches. And then Flu goes out there and throws these 89-mile cutters. And it's like, what does this make sense? And he throws a sweeper and he strikes out Ohtani. And it's like, okay, well, that's the stuff. Like you have guys like that. Or like you said, no one Nathan Lucas is going to retire too. Like, I mean, it took him till he's 30. I think he's 31 or 32 to like start, and he's playing every day, and he's batting second for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like,
Yeah.
just a testament to stick to it. But I think that's what the Blue Jays are. Like, top to bottom, from the Blue Jays down to Dunedin, is a bunch of guys that just kind of grind, and like that's what we are. Like, we're gonna get the job done, and I think Schneider at the helm kind of helps that too.
Yeah, no, and offensively, the staff that they put together with the Pop, Lou, and Hunter up there has been awesome. Just my time being up there, it didn't matter if you were starting or if you were, in my case, the last guy on the totem pole. They made sure that you felt comfortable and felt ready to go, and that was something that is really, really unique. And I think they have the right setup up there for sure.
Yeah, and I know just from my point of view, and probably a lot of people around baseball, it's been very fun to watch.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays obviously do what they're doing, and just all of these names that you guys have mentioned that might not have been household names before. It's kind of cool seeing them get some recognition for being really good baseball players, which a lot of them are, and obviously that's why they're in the World Series. So it's been great, man, getting an introduction to some of these guys, but. All right, I have one question left, and I'm gonna let Hayden actually ask the last question, and it can be about anything you want, Hayden. But my last question is just honestly, you're going into an off season that, like I had mentioned before, it was one of those things where you're just in a much different spot than you ever have been in your entire career. So I was kind of curious, what are you doing this offseason? Are you doing anything differently than off seasons before? I think I know you're back home in Missouri right now, but what does it look like for you this offseason?
Honestly, the exact same as any offseason. Just got started. I'm sure Juenger too, with offseason lifting and stuff like that, and try to not pick up a bat until about the middle of November. But I always joke with my wife saying that I'll probably get bored and probably swing a little bit before then. So, but nothing crazy different from like getting a preparation standpoint. I think this year definitely hit some things mechanically with my swing and adjustments that I've made, where I feel like I'm in a really good spot with my swing. I just need to obviously dial it in. And another thing with being with the Pirates now is Matt Haig, who was my hitting coach in AA, is the big league hitting coach with the Pirates, and have always had really good success and had some really good conversations with him, which I'm really excited to kind of get back with him and work with him this offseason. So I think nothing really different from that perspective, but I think just a better mindset of like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I need to do. And I've had, had some good positive feedback from it. Obviously having a good year in AAA and then making, the big leagues this year. So I think that gives you some positive affirmations, but like every offseason, you're going in there and trying to get into spring training and trying to turn heads. So, that'll always be something that drives you for sure.
All right, Hayden, take us home here.
Yeah. Okay. So
Let's go,
I mean,
Yang.
obviously, I know a lot about you, but and you kind of hit on it earlier. But what would you say, like, you and Morgan having Johnny? How do you think that shaped you, like, after your career before you had her, and then now?
Yeah. I had a conversation. I mean, this just comes to my mind. I remember, my agent, I remember having a conversation back with him in 2023. I think I was hitting like 172, and Morgan and I just got married. It was the first year of, traveling together. And I was just like, I'm done. Like, this is like, I'm batting 172 in June. And he was just like, just finish the year out and we'll reassess and stuff. And I remember after that phone call, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go have fun, just going to let it go. And whatever happens, and ended up, finishing, had a solid year, went to the fall league. But when Johnny was born, or when Morgan got pregnant, I feel like it was, I would say, like a weight lifted off your shoulders, which a lot of people would probably think it would be the opposite. Like, oh, you have a kid, you have, other responsibilities. But I feel like it's just having a family and knowing that, you're way more than a baseball player. You're a dad, you're a husband. If this baseball thing ends tomorrow, like, I'm going to be right here doing, I mean, obviously not playing baseball, but your main and your main focus and your number one priority doesn't change. So that's, obviously being a father, being a husband, and, loving God. So that doesn't change at all. So I think knowing that and kind of having that always, doesn't matter if you go, this year 0 for 4 in Yankee Stadium, and with 3 punchies, like, it doesn't matter. Like, hey, you're playing in the big leagues and you have a wife and a daughter that loves you. Johnny most of the time loves me. Sometimes she screams for her mom, but most of the time she loves me. But no, it's all in perspective. And that's what everybody, asks, like, any advice. I was like, it's just keeping the main thing, and keep it in perspective, and that'll take you a long way. So yeah.
It's words to live by, man. I appreciate that a ton as well, because I am recently married myself, and
that's awesome. Congratulations.
No kids yet, but it's definitely in the cards. But all right. Well, Will, we appreciate obviously all the time.
Yeah.
I know you and Hayden probably enjoyed catching up. Probably, so that was also another perk of coming on. But thank you so much for doing this.
No, appreciate you having me, and always a good time to talk it up with Ying, and he needs to send me some of his deer pics if he ever kills anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not been out yet. When I got back home, it was like 85 degrees. I wasn't in the hunting mood, but it's now switched. It's gotten cooler, and I'm hoping to get out there tomorrow. So
I can attest to that. When I got back home, I was all fired up, and it was every bit of 85. And
didn't get me going, but
unfortunately the Bucks were out. But I was like, I'm not going to go sit out there and die. So and now I'm in Florida.
It's golfing weather too, and you're like, I want to go hang out with do family stuff and go golf or whatever, and it's just not hunting weather yet. But here it is. It's changed. But hopefully you get back home soon and get a chance to kill something. So
for sure. Yep.